Saw it right away. You know that, right? Now we have this stupid stuff where you can vote 45 days early. I wonder what the hell happens during that 45. Let's move see these votes? We've got about 1 million votes in there. Let's move them. We're fixing the air conditioner in the room, right? No, it's terrible. What happened the last time was disgraceful, including right here.
Since his loss in the 2020 election, the disgraced former president Donald Trump has repeatedly pushed false claims that widespread election fraud was responsible for his defeat. As early voting and mail-in ballots begin in key states ahead of the 2024 presidential election, Trump has escalated his rhetoric, spreading baseless claims of fraud and conspiracy. Earlier this month, Trump promised to prosecute lawyers, political operatives, donors, illegal voters, and corrupt election officials, and anyone else involved in what he described as unscrupulous behavior related to voter fraud. In a statement on Truth Social, he warned that if he wins, those responsible for this alleged wrongdoing will face long-term prison sentences to prevent a recurrence of what he called a depravity of justice. Well, on Monday, Trump offered a glimpse of what he considers unscrupulous behavior by accusing Democrats of manipulating overseas military and absentee ballots to cheat him out of victory in November. Despite being entirely false, it's just the latest in a series of conspiracy theories that Trump has pushed, insisting that he was unfairly denied the electoral victory that he believes was his. Let's remember, he is currently 2 to 3 points behind Kamala Harris in the polls, another reason why he's ramping up his false propaganda.
Our primary focus is not to get out the vote, it's to make sure they don't cheat. Because we have all the votes you need.
The US presidential election is currently underway. By November 5th, millions of Americans will have already cast their votes. They may have sent in absentee ballots by mail, voted in person during early voting, or used secure drop boxes. Voting early or by mail offers flexibility, helping people avoid bad weather, long lines, or unexpected schedule changes on election day. You know, democracy. Almost all states, except Mississippi, New Hampshire and Alabama, provide voters with the chance to vote in person before Election Day. Eligible voters can visit their polling place during the early voting period to cast their ballot. Many states begin counting these votes on Election Day, while others wait until after polls close. Some states offer in-person absentee voting, where voters can collect and submit an absentee ballot at a polling place before Election Day. Absentee voting is an option in most states, allowing voters to request a ballot in advance, which is then sent to them by mail. They can return it or place it in a secure drop box. 14 states require a specific reason, such as illness or work conflict, to vote absentee. In 8 states, all registered voters receive a mail-in ballot, regardless of whether they plan to use it. Federal law ensures absentee ballots are sent to military personnel and overseas voters. Each state manages the processing and counting of absentee ballots, with some verifying signatures before Election Day while others wait until Election Day, which can delay results. States such as Wisconsin and Maryland have already started sending out ballots, while in North Carolina, a legal dispute over Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s candidacy has temporarily delayed the process. But since Friday, many states have begun distributing absentee ballots. The exact dates and rules for early and absentee voting differ by state and local jurisdiction. Voters should verify their registration status and check with their local election office for specific details. You see, this stuff is important. Voting by mail is considered highly secure in the US and indeed in most civilized countries in the world, with cases of mail-in fraud being extremely rare. Between 2000 and 2012, fewer than 500 cases of mail-in voting fraud were documented out of billions of votes cast, making it statistically less likely than being struck by lightning. However, there is some false propaganda being spread by people on the right, claiming that there are concerns about postal delays which could cause ballots to arrive late and not be counted. And then, of course, we have this controversial rule that's been passed by the Georgia State Election Board to require all of the state's voting precincts to hand count ballots and ensure the tallies match machine counts before their deadline to certify election results. The rule has sparked bipartisan criticism from opponents who say that it will delay results and create space for election meddlers to spread disinformation and block certifying the actual victor. Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, remember him? He said back in August that having polling locations hand count ballots jeopardizes ballot security and risks dangerous delays. The disgraced former president Donald Trump has praised the 3 Republican board members who passed these series of last-minute changes, calling them pit bulls fighting for victory. This week, Trump claimed on Truth Social that Democrats were not encouraging overseas voter registration because they were getting ready to cheat. He falsely accused them of using the Uniformed and Overseas Citizens Absentee Voting Act to send ballots abroad without verifying voters' citizenship. In reality, the system requires international voters to register with their U.S. state of residence and submit additional verification before being added to the absentee voter registry. These ballots, which can be sent electronically or by mail, are only issued to eligible voters, not to anyone without proper documentation. Over 3 million Americans living abroad can participate in U.S. elections, but only about 7.8% voted back in 2020. Trump also claimed on Truth Social that 20% of mail-in ballots in Pennsylvania were fraudulent, referencing an interview between Tucker Carlson and Justin Haskins from the Heartland Institute. However, the interview's claim was based on a survey about voter assistance, which is not an indicator of fraud. In fact, voters with disabilities or those needing help due to age or medical conditions are legally allowed to receive assistance in completing their ballots. Trump further implied that fraud was going on in Pennsylvania, even though mail-in voting had not yet begun in the state. On September 9th, Trump amplified a claim from Elon Musk, saying that Arizona was refusing to remove undocumented immigrants from voter rolls. This is, of course, a lie. Arizona has one of the strictest requirements for voter identification, including proof of citizenship for voting in state and local elections. While this law was controversial and led to the creation of a separate federal voter registry for those without citizenship documents, it does not mean that undocumented immigrants are voting illegally. A survey from the University of Maryland found that 1 in 10 adults, around 21 million eligible voters, do not have easy access to documents proving their citizenship, which could make voter registration more difficult. You see, Trump and other Republicans have also focused heavily on claims that undocumented immigrants are registering and voting illegally. Trump urged House Republicans to block government funding if the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, the SAVE Act, requiring proof of citizenship to register, was not passed. He falsely claimed that Democrats are registering illegal voters by the tens of thousands. However, there is no evidence to support Trump's claims. Non-citizen voting is prohibited in federal elections. When Trump continued to push these unsubstantiated claims, civil rights activists warn that measures like the SAVE Act would create unnecessary barriers for eligible voters and complicate an already secure system. These false allegations not only sow doubt, but also mislead the public about the integrity of the U.S. electoral process. If you haven't yet registered to vote in federal, state, and local elections, go to vote.gov. If you're a U.S. citizen living abroad, see how you can register and vote absentee. You can also visit vote.org, a nonpartisan nonprofit that's committed to advocating for voters in every state with a mission to strengthen democracy for generations to come. As an immigrant, unfortunately, I can't vote. But you can. So don't waste it. I'm Anthony Davis. You can find me on the 5 Minute News YouTube channel and podcast, on Wednesdays co-hosting Uncovered, and on Sunday on The Weekend Show with Midas Touch.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the Midas Touch newsletter at MidasTouch.com/newsletter.